It's the Empowerment Perspective Radio Show, hosted by Demiso Josie, Kareem Spence, and Miss Stacy Sanderson Dick. Stay empowered. Stay empowered.
Well, all right. Welcome to another episode of the Empowerment Perspective Radio Show. I go by the name of Demiso Josie alongside
Stacy Sanderson Dick.
And Mr. Petty is floating around here somewhere, tearing up the studio. Y'all can't see that, but he's definitely tearing up the studio. We got a special show today. We have a studio full of people. I got family in the building, friends in the building, coworkers in the building. But today is all about education and getting the kids and staff ready for the upcoming school year. It's right around the corner. I know summer is almost over. How do you feel about that?
It's going by too fast.
Too fast?
I'm not ready for them to go back yet.
You're not ready for them to go back, meaning that you'll miss them, or you just...
Yeah, I guess. I won't miss the bickering, but I think a little more time having them home.
Right.
Because the school year goes fast, too, and it's just a little bit more hectic.
Do you think your kids are ready to go back to school right now?
They say they're excited, but...
They say they are excited.
I think they're lying.
So if you follow us on our webpage and also on our previous show, we had Brittany Wagner was on the show, 10,000 Pencils from the show Last Chance U. She called in all the way from Mississippi, I believe she's in. She's doing some wonderful things out there. How do you feel that show went?
I thought it was great. I thought she really was very interesting in the things that she's doing for these young men, and she's putting herself out there to make sure that they're getting the fairest shot they have to get a chance to play ball.
Awesome. Now Mr. Petty finally decides to join us and sits down after he destroyed the studio. What was going on over there, man?
It's only right that I make my own personal appearance. You know, I got to be fashionably late. I got to cause some type of confusion before I come on here, because if not, it wouldn't be me.
You absolutely did cause some confusion just there. How did you think the show went with Brittany Wagner?
Oh, when I actually got here, the show was great, because I heard it on the way up. And I thought that what she's doing with the 10,000 Pencils movement, man, that's something truly special. And her efforts that she did on Netflix, man, I was truly impressed. So she's like the counselor's counselor.
Right. So if you get a chance, check out Last Chance U on Netflix. She was on the first 2 seasons. Miss Brittany Wagner, her 10,000 Pencils. We got her to admit that she was petty. I should say you got her to admit that she was petty.
She was struggling with it, though, for a little bit.
She's trying to weasel her way out of it, not being petty, but you know what?
Gotcha.
It only takes a little bit of time, a couple more questions, and, do our official assessment. And,
Right.
She said.
So I got to take a personal story. My father is here up from North Carolina, so he's in the building. Pops is in the building. My daughter is here. So we decided to go out to eat for breakfast the other day. We're just going to call the place Not So Friendly. I'm not going to say the name of the establishment, but I think you get what I'm saying here. So I go and I get this Clipper magazine, and it had the coupons in it. And I usually throw that thing away, but I saw 50% off breakfast. I'm always one for a deal. I said, all right, cool. And it said between 7 and 11. So, all right, pack the kids up, pack the family up. Hurry up, we got to get there. And it's only at 2 locations. So I drive way past like 3 diners on the way there.
I'm impressed that you read the small print, because some people don't even do that.
Right.
So you get points for that.
It gets better. So I get to the establishment. You see National Lampoon's the first one, when they were at Wally World. And he parked all the way at the end. That was me. My dad was going slow motion through the parking lot. Kids was all happy. We get up there. I see the sign, the big old sign saying 50% off. I was like, it's a little dark in there. What's going on here? Not a car in sight. The whole thing was closed. I was mad. Should I be taking that personal?
Maybe you should have done a little more research.
Well,
When you put an ad in the paper saying that it's 50% off, there's a big old sign in the window that said 50% off.
Did you go to the other location?
No, that was like another 30 minutes away. I was mad at that particular point.
So nobody got breakfast?
I think they knew you was coming. They just shut down. They all peeking out the window, looking. They was peeking out the window. He's coming, y'all. Nobody making noise.
Because it was petty that he parked so far away that they just hurried up and shut the lights off on him?
I was like, we the first ones here. Yeah, I'm gonna park all the way back here. So we went to go eat somewhere else. So that's what happened. But like I said, we got a lot of people on today. This first guy, he was on the podcast with us before. You missed that one too, Kareem, because your car
rim.
You were being petty, but your car. Again, the car is causing all the drama. The people want to know what kind of car you got. At some point, you're going to have to say it. May not be today, but your car caused this problem.
It does.
But
about $400 this week.
Right. Got you. So this is a guy that I kind of work with in Egg Harbor Township. He's in a different building. He has a book out, School Sucks, and Why Schools Are Failing and How We Can Fix It. He's an author. He's a motivational speaker. Pete, welcome to the show. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thank you for having me again.
Thanks for being down here, man. And
By the way, I just want to say, maybe that 50% off put them out of business.
Good point.
Half off.
Take the sign down then. Put something up saying we're closed.
Once you're done, I'm out of here.
Yeah, but that's it.
Hit the light switch and go.
That's it.
Now we'll just mess with people. Leave the sign up.
Now they better be glad they weren't dealing with my wife, because they would definitely she would have called and had some choice words for these people, and we would have free, not so friendly ice cream all day long. Let's just put it that way. But welcome to the show, sir. And last time we got into a lot of mindfulness things and things of that nature. I just want to start by asking you, you're getting prepared for the upcoming school year. And in this show, I want parents to really get a handle of how they can prepare their kids for the upcoming school year. In the space of mindfulness, talk about what is mindfulness very little bit, and then how can parents prepare mentally their children for that.
Sure.
trend.
So basically, mindfulness, in the simplest definition, is just being present in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not doing 10 different things at the same time. It's just sitting and being present. That presence can be, counting your breaths, or listening to, a guided meditation,
Mm-hmm.
or just focusing on your breathing, whatever it may be. You could even say do mindfulness while you're doing the dishes. If you're totally 100% focused on those dishes, that's
You
actually
still
a
doing
mindfulness.
dishes?
I don't do dishes.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to check.
I
That was
don't
a
do-
previous
I
podcast.
cook the meal and then I eat it and walk away. So no dishes here.
Sorry,
but,
go ahead.
But that's even mindfulness, which is different than, say, meditation, which are specific techniques. Mindfulness is simply just being in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real easy for parents to get started with something like that. All you have to do is maybe sit quietly with your son or daughter, or whatever you have there, start with 30 seconds. Say, can we sit quietly, eyes closed, eyes open, doesn't matter. But just sit quietly, doing nothing else but focusing on this very moment for 30 seconds. And then be done with it. And then the next day, maybe jack it to 45 seconds, and then a minute, and then a couple minutes, and work from there. The results that we've had at our school, Eagle Academy in Egg Harbor Township, have been pretty unbelievable. I've said to you before, not all of our results can be directly attributable to mindfulness, but to discount that would be naive.
Right.
It has had massive effect, especially and specifically on behavior. We've had drastic reduction in suspensions. So if you feel like your child maybe a little squirrely, they jump around a lot, it's a great way to kind of bring them down. What I always tell people is, if anything else, doing mindfulness, practicing mindfulness, and just getting a hold of yourself will give your child the opportunity to say, I can wait 1 second before making any kind of decision or reaction. A lot can go through someone's head in 1 second. And you can go from making a really terrible decision to either no decision or a good decision,
Right.
which is huge. That's the difference. It sounds so little, but what can go through the human mind in 1 second is massive. It's unbelievable.
There's a million things that just went through my mind in
Yeah.
that 1 second. Had nothing to do with this show whatsoever. But in your book, you talked about students being lazy and laziness. And the way your book is sort of formatted is that you kind of go with everything that was wrong in education,
Sure.
but then you flip it and say, this is how we can fix it within your book. But talk about that laziness. Like, I have my daughter here. It's summertime, so I'm letting her get away with it. She's like addicted to slime, and that's what she wants to do is deal
She's
with
got
slime.
a good batch over there, too. I'm
She's
impressed.
selling it too.
Ooh,
We
I'm
might
gonna have to buy
commercial
some.
for her. She's a little hustler too. But as a parent, how can I get my kid out of that laziness mode and really, we're talking about really developing a work ethic at the end of the day.
Sure. So one of the problems that we have is in the smartphone age, which a lot of people want to tear it down or say it's a bad thing. I don't know that it's a bad thing, but I think it's a really good thing. But it does have, we'll say, like negative consequences to it. And one of those consequences is pure laziness. So why that is because with your smartphone, you have instant access to anything you could possibly want in the whole world. You can communicate with somebody on the other side of the planet. You can watch a movie. You can look up the definition of a word, or you can have a math problem solved in 5 seconds. Okay. Since that's the case, when it comes time to actually doing something that takes more than 5 seconds, young people, and frankly, some older people as well, a lot of older people, give up very quickly. And that's more what I mean by laziness. It's almost, I was talking to your dad about it beforehand, it's not even their fault necessarily, because this is the world we live in where there is instant access to everything. But it's also the world we live in that's not always the case.
Right.
That there are things, if you have to cut your lawn, that's going to take a little while.
Right.
And you can't just do one stripe and say, I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
That just doesn't work. There are things that if you want to make some sales, if you're a salesman, you need to make sales, you need to make a lot of calls. You're not going to do that by one call. I quit. That's it.
Hear that, Stacy?
I do.
Is there a reason why I'm saying this, Stacy?
I'm going stalker mode. I told you.
Just so that our listeners understand what's going on here, I had asked Stacy to reach out to a mutual friend of ours and about a business opportunity and just having a conversation. So she reached out one time, and I was like, have you heard from such and such? She was like, no. I said, call her again. She said, I want to be stalker. I said, yes, that's what we do. We stalk people here. That's how we going to get this thing done. So she's learning, though. I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, not at all. So one of the things you can do is you can try to put your kids in positions where they have to do things, okay, where they have to work a little longer. They have to stick with something a little longer.
Right.
Another thing you could do, and this is kind of like a lost art with a lot of different people, but I call it painting a picture. You have to paint a better picture for why they should do certain things. Okay, I had a student at my school this year, very bright, first market period. I'm a gym teacher, so I keep things real simple. Really bright kid, but he was had like a 62 average in math after the end of the first market period. And all I did was talk to him, and I use this term, I painted a better picture for him of what his future could look like. Right. In just extreme detail. Like, this is what you could be doing. Tell me the things you like, and then I'm showing you all the different things that you can do, what that would look like, really what it would look like, bright, vivid colors. This could be your life if you do what you're saying you can do. Fourth market period, that young man got a 92 in math. He didn't get 30 points smarter over 6 or 8 months. He just had a better understanding of what he was working towards. So that painting a better picture for him was something that he can keep in his mind and say, I know why I'm doing this work. Okay, it wasn't that the teacher did anything different. It wasn't that I really did anything. I helped him to understand what he was working for. Right. And that's the idea of like painting a better picture. And when that picture is vivid in your head, most people will put in the work. They will put in hard work when they see that there's real successful results at the end of that work.
Right.
So Pete, let me ask, so were you like one of the first people to actually help him with this vision?
You know, it's hard to say. When the students that we get at Eagle Academy, they come in and they go out quickly. They come from the high school and then they'll go back. So he was actually a new student, and he was kind of tough to reach in the beginning, but I just kept putting in the work on developing that relationship.
Okay.
So, and that 62 didn't go to 92 quickly. You know, that took months, but the work over time of that kind of instilling in him the value of what he's doing, what he's capable of doing, I just kept at it. And that's a hard part too, because you know, you want to say something and be done with it, and you know, you got other students, but over time, he came to believe that.
So since this episode, it really is about, you know, giving teachers and parents and even community members tips, how did you handle the pushback from him, you know, not really believing at first?
I don't even, you know, equate to that at all. Like, I don't deal with that at all. If you want to push back, that's fine. He really didn't push back too much, and all I did in the beginning really was just say, this is what you're capable of.
Okay.
That's all. And that's it. And this is why I say a lot of times, it's a long game. You know, you can get really frustrated if you try to make these changes in someone else. Don't forget, we're trying to make changes in someone else. If you were a smoker and you wanted to quit smoking, you could do that tomorrow. If your friend was a smoker and you wanted him to quit, that's going to take a little while, if at all. Okay, so you have to have some patience and not allow, you know, their frustration to get you frustrated. I see what you're capable of. I know what you could do. This is what it looks like to me. What do you think of that? And I would do something like that almost on a daily basis.
Gotcha.
And then once he sees results, or once that student sees results, or once your kid sees results, your work is almost done. Your work is pretty much done.
I want to transition over to another person we have in the building, Brittany McCree. She's a 6th grade math teacher, phenomenal teacher. And I want to ask you this question of, as a parent, what kind of communications or what kind of questions should I have for my child's teacher? Like, what are you expecting in terms of that communication between the parents?
That's a great question. I feel like I don't get enough. I wish that I had more, because I'm very open with my teaching style and my expectations of my students and parents, and I don't normally get the feedback that I'm craving inside. And I'm a math teacher, and parents, it'd be great to know what basic skills we need to come in with. What should I be practicing? What are you teaching? How can I reinforce that at home? Because we have so many resources, and like Pete was saying, with the internet and everyone has a phone. there's so many websites out there that takes 3 seconds to pull up, you punch the video in and you can watch it, and that goes hand in hand with what I'm teaching. And it's not that the effort needs to be there, it's just it needs to be on point with what we're learning. And also, I think it's scary to reach out to your teacher sometimes. And a lot of parents...
Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. I tutor a lot of students, and I'll be amazed that they've never reached out to the teacher once, and that child has been struggling for 6 months. And I don't know if they just don't get how school works, or not sure, but we're here, and it takes 3 of us. It takes the student, it takes the parent, it takes the
It's your
the
job.
teacher.
You're the educator. I'm supposed to teach my child.
It takes all of us
And
together.
I'm supposed to just, make sure the lights are on. Your job is to teach them.
Yeah.
And to discipline them and make sure that's your job.
And it's nice to know what's going on at home, too, a little bit. I want to know if I have a student that's come in and had a bad weekend. That's important information, because I'll be a little bit more lenient or might give him some extra time. So
you're all for the helicopter mom, like emailing you every day and all that stuff?
not so much helicopter mom.
All
I
right.
think there's a fine balance between no contact and full
But
contact.
I think that might be part of it, is because I do sometimes feel weird about reaching out with questions that I have, because I don't want to be seen as like I can't let them do it on their own, and I want them to be accountable. And I feel like sometimes my husband always says my blades are going. I'm like, I haven't emailed the teacher in like 2 months, and now because I'm doing it again, I'm a helicopter mom. So I think that you don't want to keep them occupied when you know they have so much other things going on.
So let me ask you this question, Stacy. Why do you care what the perception is? At the end of the day, you're out after, for the betterment of your child. I don't care.
I don't know.
Let me be seen as a helicopter parent. I really don't care.
I'm trying to let go of all that stuff of not caring what other people think and what's.
We're getting there.
Yeah, it's just been a little bit of a process. That's all.
Another thing is asking if your child is advocating for themselves in the classroom.
That's huge.
Are they asking questions? Are they verbal? Are they participating? If they didn't get a good grade or were confused, are they able to come up and ask you for help? So maybe not so much helicoptering every detail, but just asking how the child's doing and how they're jiving with you as the educator might be a good question.
Me and my
as
wife
well.
go back and forth with this sometimes. I know she's listening, so I'm probably gonna get an earful when I get home. But just in terms of the homework, right? So I'm more of a, you do your homework. If you get it wrong, you get it wrong. You have to go in and ask the teacher, what did I do wrong? How can I fix it? She's more, no, I'm not letting my child go to school with a wrong, incorrect answer. And I said, I get that, but you're not letting them be able to advocate for themselves at the same time. So, Simone will tell you sometimes I don't check her homework. She just does it and then goes in, and if there's a question, she's got to get a little bit better at asking for help, but that's what we're working on. I mean, she's 9, so we got some time to work on it, but you got to let them fail a little bit and also be able to, go in and ask those questions and reach out to the teacher. As a teacher, how are you preparing for this upcoming school year?
I like to do a lot of reflecting. So at the end of June, everything winds down. I take July off to myself, but August starts, and I go, whew, school's coming in hot. It's going to start in a few weeks, and I want to know that I'm preparing myself. So I'm thinking about my lessons, my kids, and what worked last year and what didn't work.
We got to put this in perspective because people want to know what taking time to yourself really means in the Brittany world. Tell them
41 days? That was on?
41 days of something.
Time for me is an extended vacation away from home. Because if I'm at my house in southern New Jersey, I can't stop. I've been back for 3 days and I've done 12 things already. It's just in my nature and my husband. So we were in Europe for 41 days. We left June 26th and just got back 3 nights ago.
Now, me and my father had this conversation on the way home after you told him that story, and he was just like, she has so many different experiences. And I said, part of it is because you travel and you put yourself in those different experiences and outside of that box. How can, as an administrator, I struggle with trying to get my staff to think outside of the box and have different experiences. How can educators broaden their horizons, if they may not have an opportunity to travel, but what are some things that you have done that you stepped outside of your comfort zone and was like, I'll try that?
Anything that I'm scared of, and it takes me a while to build up fear, but even if I'm scared of something, just to try to do it, like here, coming on the radio today, this is totally out of my comfort zone. I'm like, you're videotaping, I don't want to be seen, hide me. I'm very nervous right now, but I know that if I can do this today, I'll look back on it and I'll grow so much as an individual, and I'm having fun and I'm around good people, and I feel well accepted. And I think just putting yourself out there a little bit, people will accept you more than you think they will. And not feeling like you're being judged all the time is important. So as an administrator and as a teacher, you have to get out there and you have to know your staff and you have to be friendly with each other because it takes all of us.
Got you.
Well, I think that's a really important lesson, especially when we have our students coming in the building for the first day. They're standing in front of, well, I'm sorry, they were sitting in front of an adult and they're getting judged. They already know that certain information has probably been shared about them. And when you say them being in their comfort zone, you talk about maybe 20, 25 kids that are looking at you like, what is she thinking of me?
Did a teacher judge you? Did they say, "Oh, he's petty"?
Did they judge me? It wasn't even, look, I got judged and convicted. Just get out the classroom.
Mr. Petty. I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Petty, to introduce the guests that you have beside you as well, so we can get this panel,
Okay, so we get the
full
discussion
body.
going. All right, so I have two of my favorite people. I have my guy, Corey. We go way back to what, like 90s and stuff like that?
Oh, you got some stories.
Huh?
Oh, you got some stories.
And of course, we have the very talented Darcel Scott that's here as well. So, she's here and she's blessing us with her presence, and I'm sure she's going to be able to give some really good tips. So I've been fortunate enough to be in her classroom and watch what she does with her students. And, is it the morning empowerment circle that you do?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Morning Empowerment Circle. What's going on with that?
The empowerment circle that I do, actually, it's something that I adopted from the CDF, Child Defense Fund. It's called, I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, it's a literacy program. And it's usually in the summertime. So they have a segment called Harambe, which Harambe in Swahili means working together for a common purpose. So in the morning, everyone does this Harambe and they do cheers and chants. So that's kind of something that I adopted because I was a site coordinator about 6 years ago. So in my classroom, which we are very out of the box, you were talking about out of the box. My classroom is very out of the box. We do an empowerment circle in the morning where everyone circles up. We do some cheers and chants.
Let's demonstrate.
Well, it's a little warm in here. By the time I finish with y'all might be laid out. So I don't want to take anybody chance.
Well, then she becomes real bossy. So you got to be careful. You're asking her to take charge. She becomes real bossy.
So we do some cheers and chants, and then we do like a morning reflection where they think about the one thing that they're going to work on for that day. You can't not build Rome overnight. So they think of one thing they're going to work on. And we just take a moment to reflect on that, whether it's work a little bit harder in math, whether it's to ask a question, whether it's to be nice to someone at lunch today. So just one thing that they're going to work on to be a better scholar, a better person, a better student, a better son, daughter, friend. And that kind of takes them throughout the day because in my class, everything we do is a cheer and a chant, in every content area. So it's just kind of like meeting them where they are, allowing them to, release some of the negative energy that they bring because you just don't know what they had to deal with that morning before getting to school.
Right.
Everyone's household is different. Everyone's struggle is different. So by the time we finish, everyone is like feeling good about themselves. They give them each other a high five and tell them to have a great day of learning. So that's just
I love it.
our empowerment circle.
We talk
It's
about
really
all
cool.
the time, teachers need to be students of our students. You can't teach what you don't understand. How do you go through the process of finding out, those things about your students that they not going to come out traditionally to say, well, I didn't eat last night or I did, blah, 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 blah. What are some of the tactics that you use to kind of get that information? And how does that play out in your class?
Right. I think one of the things is through close observation and monitoring how they interact with each other, how their demeanor when they're coming into the classroom, if something they get ticked off really easily, something that might not move someone else as quickly, if they're moved very quickly because someone said something that could be a sign of something going on. So kind of like close observation. Like I said, during the empowerment circle, we do a lot of talking after the fact. I allow them to share things with me, and I kind of build their confidence and their trust in me so that they're able to trust me if there is something going on. I just meet them where they are. I say, okay, we're going to keep it 100. I always keep it 100 with them. If it's something that I need to talk to them about, I bring them over to the carpet, and I just have an open conversation. Okay, so this is my experience. This is what I need to know from you guys. And you'll have one or two who will just start opening up, and that'll open up the floodgates. Everybody starts talking.
It's interesting. So I have Corey, my guy, and he's the owner of Truth Be Told Barbershop. Now, there's nothing more trusting than having somebody sit in your chair with a sharp razor. So I want to give you opportunity to talk and, discussing some of the things like, more importantly, how is it that you're able to manage so many people, not only just the people that come see you get their haircut, but also the barbers? And because I've been in your barbershop and it's very diverse.
It is very difficult. Very difficult. I was just sitting there thinking about one of my employees that I have. It's a grown man, and y'all talking about education, and mathematics is not one of his things. And you got to learn, you got to know how to count people's money. You giving change, wrong change back, and I found myself doing things outside of teaching to cut hair. I'm teaching math and reading skills to some of my employees, and not to say that you have to really know how to add and subtract to cut somebody's hair. However, if you're going to take money from someone, then you need to understand what simple mathematics, basic mathematics is. As far as the clients that come in, we get a lot of kids that come in, and you're right, we do hold some sharp instruments. So to get them to trust us, we talk to them, we provide a service that is like no other. But the kids, we have parents that come in and ask us to talk to the kids. There's a lot of single parents. The father's not around. We get a lot of calls to come out to houses, and they bring the kids in just so they can talk to us. My experience, my past, I was addicted to heroin for 18 years. I'm in recovery. I've been in recovery since 2013. So for me to go through the storm and come out on this side to open my own barbershop in March of this year is, I don't know, there's no words for it. I'm still in awe about it, So we have a book bag drive coming the 23rd to the 25th to give back to the kids. We also give free haircuts to any kids that make the honor roll. This is one of the problems that we were having, that the parents wasn't giving the kids the money to bring in. And the kids earned that. So I give the money back to the kids. So I, makes the parents bring the money in to give the money to the kids so I can give it back to the kids. And now that I'm doing it, all of my barbers do it. So I lead by example. I lead by example. And we also have a book. If you read a book, you get a free haircut. If you're sitting there and not watching the TV, we have a lot of TVs. If you're sitting there and you want to read a book and we ask you questions about the book and you get them answers right, we give you a free haircut. So we just all about the kids, because they are our future.
Right. What's the location of your barbershop?
5924 Main Street, Mays Landing, New Jersey.
And how can people get in contact? You got a phone number that they can call?
609-837-0011, or you can Google us, Truth Be Told, and we'll come up. We like all over the all over the internet.
I got you. So on the flip side of this commercial break, we've got to take a quick commercial break. We're going to ask the educators and people in the building to give their top 5 tips to parents and teachers and students if you want to get their school year started. We're going to obviously explore Mr. Pettiness in depth a little bit on the flip side. So stay tuned.
Since 1979, Sun Valley Pools has been serving the Tri-County area by selling and installing quality above-ground pools. Sun Valley Pools on Sherman Avenue has a large selection of pool toys and games. They are also a BioGuard Platinum dealer with an expertly trained water analysis staff. Have a summer of family fun right in your own backyard. Stop by or call today to get the pool of your dreams from your local pool leader. Sun Valley Pools in Vineland.
Hi, I'm Gary Monteroso, and I just love the sound of beer being poured into a glass. If you also enjoy a cold brew, then join Tara Nurin and me every week for What's on Tap. We'll bring you tasting reviews, some of the top personalities in the beverage world, and much more. Saturdays at 1 p.m. on 99.9 FM, 1240 a.m., and online at snjtoday.com.
What makes Inspira Health Network innovative? The latest in surgical robotics. What makes it inspiring? A nationally acclaimed breast center specializing in reconstructive surgery. What makes it influential, insightful, ingenious? Over 15 awards this year, recognizing Inspira's top doctors and nurses, state-of-the-art facilities, and excellence in everything from orthopedics to cancer care. It's all here in one network, and Inspira Health Network is in it for you. Visit InspiraHealthNetwork.org to learn more.
All right, welcome back to the Empowerment Perspective radio show. We are talking about education. School's around the corner. If the parents, you haven't gone out and got supplies, don't worry about it. We got you. We got supply. We got a supply drive going on right now. You want to tell people about that, Stacy?
We're still collecting school supplies for Pastor Robinson and some other schools, and we've gotten a lot of response. I've had people dropping stuff off all week. I'm picking up till the 24th so I can get some things put together and then deliver on the 25th, hopefully, after the show.
So shout out and thank you for all those who have donated to our cause. Don't worry about it. We got more causes coming up. We're going to have our holiday drive coming, obviously Thanksgiving, Christmas time, because the Empowerment Perspective Group is about giving back and empowering people, and we just want to be a blessing to the community any way that we can possibly be. So we're talking about education here, and I asked the guests to come up with at least 5 or so tips. I will start with some of the things that me and my family do and that I do as an educator. I think it's really, really important for you to establish a routine with your kids. They should have a set bedtime. Obviously, they should have a decent meal if you can provide that for them. I'm actually going to back up a little bit. It's really, really important for families to actually have family time at dinner time and communicate. In my house, you're not allowed to be on a cell phone. My daughters will let me know all the time, Daddy, get off that cell phone. But I'm like, but I'm working. I don't care. So I put my cell phone up, and we have conversations, and we talk. And one of the things that we talk about is, the traditional question with your kids is, how was your day at school? That's the wrong question to ask your kids because they'll just say fine or whatever. I always either say, how do you feel in school today? So now it gets them to process how they felt throughout the day. Well, I was sad in English class. Well, why were you sad in English class? And then it kind of brings out what their day was like. Or the other question I ask, well, what problem did you solve today? And then it gives a little bit more depth. But that family time and that communication time is important. Then our family, we make sure our kids go to bed. They have an 8:30 bedtime every single day, and it's gotten to the point where they just do it, automatic. And they're up and, we have that routine in the morning for breakfast and all that. And when they come back home from school, they know they get a little snack, and then it's homework time. And they're on autopilot. So one of the things is that you have to develop a routine for your kids in terms of getting them ready. The other point I want to make is something that we alluded to earlier. Talk to your teachers. Communicate with them. Because you got to understand, they got 20, in some cases 30 different personalities and different families that they're dealing with. And they may not know what's going on in your family. They may not know that, your aunt passed or, something happened last night and it's affecting this kid in that classroom. You need to talk to them. You need to also be asking them, what are you doing if a kid is struggling? My kid is struggling. What are you doing about this? And then how can I help you make that team? That communication is vital. Don't be afraid to make that communication with these teachers. It's really, really important. My third point is don't be afraid to let them fail. Let them, struggle a little bit. Don't always bail them out on every single thing that they do. Yes, they're going to get some questions wrong because guess what's going to happen in life? You are going to fail. And the problem that we're having, and at least I'm seeing, especially on the mental health side, is a lot of people are not having coping skills. So they kind of go, off the deep end because they don't know how to deal with failure. So I'm always an advocate of, letting my children struggle a little bit. Now, you don't want them to fall completely. Obviously, you want to be there for a little bit for their safety net, but don't be afraid to let them fail. The other piece, know your resources that you have available to you in the school. There's so many parents that don't know what a 504 plan is. They don't know what the IEP is. They don't know what the INRS team is. There's so much stuff that's out there. The school's not just going to tell you. You've got to go out and get it and say, what is that? I heard that on the Empowerment Perspective radio show. What is a 504? So you want to hit us up with an email or something like that, you can do that and I'll answer those questions as well. But you have to know what those resources are out there. So when and if your child is failing and struggling, you know the correct channels to go to. The last bonus one is the school is not there to raise your child. That is not necessarily the job of the school. That is your responsibility as a parent, is to raise your child. I try to live by the philosophy is I don't need the school to educate my kids. They're constantly reading, they're constantly doing things that I can technically educate them. They go to school for the socialization aspect and learn how to deal with people on that level. I see so many parents that kind of just, well, the school's going to discipline my kids, so I don't know how to do that. They don't listen to me. Let the school do that. That's not what the school's there for. We're there to reinforce some of the things and teach them some value systems and things of that nature. But that stuff's got to come from home too. Mm-hmm. Stop relying so much on the school to raise and teach your kids. Because I'll be quite honest with you, just like any other job that's out there, there's good teachers and there's bad teachers. There's teachers that don't care about your kid, and you just going to put that your kid in their hands and they don't really care about your child. You can't do that for your kids. So those are my tips. Kareem, you got any tips to give?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, and Pete touched on it earlier, you have to give them values. So even as young as 2-3 years old, you can start painting a picture of what their life should be like and what their life is going to be like until they ultimately be able to decide for themselves. Oftentimes I use the analogy of going to a restaurant, and when you go to a restaurant, you have so many choices on the menu. And when you're young, your parents aren't allowing you to order from the expensive side. Like, you're not going to get steak and lobster. You're going to get those chicken nuggets and those french fries until you're able to pay for it yourself. So with that analogy, parents, go ahead and make the decisions for your kid until they're actually ready to do it themselves.
That's deep.
And the other thing is that you have to give them purpose. So after you give them the values of education, you have to give them a purpose. You have to give them their why, of why they need this and why this is going to be important. What it is that you need to see on your wall hanging up, rather it's something that's coming from traditional schools or non-traditional schools, that you need to have some type of plaque on the wall as an accomplishment for them.
That's deep. Another piece is perception of how they should perceive school. And I have a conversation with these students all the time. I said, what's the role of the teacher? And they say, it's to teach. And I said, what's your job? To learn. I said, you're wrong, because that makes you passive. Now you're limiting yourself to the knowledge base of those that you are waiting for this information to come. Your job as a student is to go take your education.
And especially if I don't like you. What if I don't like you? If I don't like you, I'm not going to give you nothing.
They ain't giving you nothing. But if we live in a day and time where technology is at your finger, there's no excuse for you not to be able to find an answer or solution to a problem. Why am I waiting for this teacher to give me this information, especially when they're older, middle school and high school kids? Teach your kids that they need to go out and take it. Speaking specifically from the African American perspective, they don't talk about our history in school. If I would have sat there and waited until I'm blue in the face, they're not going to tell me. I had to go out and learn about my culture and things on my own. Stop being passive learners and go out there and take it. Then it doesn't matter if you got a good teacher or a bad teacher in front of you. That teacher can just walk in and say, this is what today's lesson is, and I'll see you on Friday. Here's the test. If you got that work ethic and you got that perspective, that's what we need to be teaching our children.
And then the other thing is you have to live life, especially when you go in the academic process, like you have something at stake. Grades equal money. And I'll say this again, parents. Your grades equal the amount of money a college or another institution is actually going to be able to give your son or daughter. So you have to make sure that you have something at stake, and they have to be going to school every single day like something is at stake, because you're talking about the cost of education going up 3-4% every other year. And if you're not preparing yourself and you're not preparing your son or daughter to be able to go there and think that something is at stake, then what's going to happen is you're going to fall short.
Here's the thing about getting your kids to go to school. You got to model that behavior. They see you calling out work every 5 days, every other days, and switching jobs. They going to do the exact same thing that you're doing. So you need to model that behavior. Pete, I want to get to you. Give me a couple of tips that you can give parents and students.
I have 2 for you, because 5 is a lot.
I ask a lot.
You said 5. I'm like, 5. Jeez. So the first one is be honest. Whether you're a teacher or a parent, be honest. And I mean like brutally honest. I learned about almost 2 years ago now that kids can handle a lot more than you think, and even young kids. Almost 2 years ago that my father-in-law passed away, and at the wake, my mother fell, hit her head, and she never came out of the hospital. So a month later, she passed. So within 1 month, 2 grandparents to my children passed away. At the time, they were 5 and 3. I think they handled it better than we did. Kids can handle pretty much everything. I don't, I don't sugarcoat things to my kids. I'm diplomatic with the way I say it. I'm very careful with the words I choose. But whether it's my own children or kids at school, I think one of the reasons I've been able to develop trust and great relationships with my students at school is because I'm brutally honest. Even if it's stuff that those kids don't want to hear, they know I'm telling them the truth.
Right.
They don't question that part of it.
Right.
And because of that, I've seen that they can handle a lot more than you think.
Gotcha.
Okay? So the first thing I would say is don't be afraid to be honest. Tell the truth. Say it in the proper way, put it in the proper format, but just be honest. Okay? And that leads me to my second thing, and this is especially for parents, but it's also for teachers as well. And it's a little harsh, but that's how I deal with things. Okay? You are not their friend. Okay? Then that doesn't mean you can't be friendly. I love my children. I'm if you see me with them, I'm playing with them. I'm doing we're having a good time. But then there's a time when I'm not. Okay? You are a mentor. You are a guide. You are a leader for them. You have to be that when the time comes. All these things that you guys were just talking about, you can't do that if you're buddy-buddy. Okay? You have to accept the role as leader to your children, whether it's in your classroom or at home. And understand that you are not their friend. You can love them, and you should love them. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with them, have fun with them. But then you have to understand that you're the mentor. If it's not coming from you, I mean, these are kids. They don't have the experiences that we have. So if it's not coming from you, stop and consider where their information will be coming from. Okay? So you're not their friend. Be their leader. Be a mentor for them.
Awesome.
So be honest and be a leader.
Be a leader. I see you writing some stuff down over there. The brain cells was turning there.
Well,
You look
because
like you got
this,
10 things down on
I
that sheet.
do. I have a whole lot, but I'm just going to narrow it down to 5.
Uh-huh.
To be honest, this is really one of the things that I'm very passionate about because our children are really growing up at a different time. They're not growing up in the same time frame that we had, where things were. There was not so much peer pressure, and this social media thing is like. But anyway, so to narrow it down, one of the things that I always tell my students is to take pride in their work. Take pride in your work. I tell them, do not serve me lobster and steak on a trash can lid. I want it on fine china with some nice silverware. Lobster and steak. They will tell you, if you say, do not serve me, my children, the students, they will recite that whole thing. Because they have to understand that if you don't take pride in your work, then who's going to take pride in your work?
Right.
That's a representation of who you are. I noticed even with my son, he comes home and his papers has J on it, J-A-I. His name is Jalen, but it has J. Well, that's not what I named you. Why isn't your first and last name in the date on the paper? So even I had to explain to him, even if your teacher doesn't push you, you have to understand what my expectations are for you. So it kind of goes both ways with, the parent and the teacher, because you have teachers like me who are going to push the children. If you hand me sloppy work, you're going to go back and you're going to do it over. That's just the way it's going to be. You're not just going to turn anything into me, because in the real work world, you can't just turn in any kind of product to your boss and CEO.
If you work at unfriendly.
Apparently nobody works there, though.
They can just turn the lights off and close the shades. Like, here he comes. Right, don't open the door. So that's one of the things that I try to instill with them, and that also comes with building their self-esteem and their self-confidence as well. And then when you keep pushing that and stressing that, you will see how it will transition and change during the course of the school year. Another thing, like you said, knowledge of self. In the urban districts and in the African-American community, our children do not understand some of the struggles that some of the great people have gone through. Matthew Henson, who was the first to go and discover the North Pole, they don't even know that he was 12 years old when he left his house, and that he didn't have an education and he educated himself. So little things like that is so important for them to understand, and it's not in our books that they give us. So that's something that you have to be a teacher who's outside of the box. But they also have the Amistad curriculum that a lot of people are not incorporating into the daily curriculum in the schools as well. So that's something else that, parents, if they want to look into that, and speak on that, is a great thing. Communication with parents and teachers, that is so important. You talk about being a stalker as a parent, I'm a stalker as a teacher, okay? So if I'm not getting responses, if somebody's not calling me back, I'm calling you, I'm sending messages, I'm writing notes. And in my school, we also use Class Dojo,
We have that
which
too.
is a great, great, great tool to use for communication for
Yes.
those who are not comfortable giving out their cell number. Class Dojo is like the best next thing to like Facebook. And they're adding new features every couple of months. They're adding new features, so it's a great way for parents and teachers to stay in constant communication with each other.
And it gives a little daily feedback too, that your kid had a good day, your kid had an off day, so you can ask the right questions as a parent, like, hey, what was going on today? I saw that you had a couple
Exactly.
points taken away and stuff like that.
Exactly. And if you have a teacher who is really, active with it, they're posting videos of what's going on in the class. Like I said, me, I'm the one that's outside the box. I'm real extra with mine. So, videos of what's going on in the classroom, videos of the empowerment circle, videos of collaborative learning where they're working on projects together. So that's a great way for parents and teachers to stay in constant contact with each other, and you feel like you're part of the classroom and you know what's going on. So that helps them to, probe those questions when they come home. So how was that literature circle today? So what was that story about? They're like, how you know about that? Because I saw it on Class Dojo, that's why.
Right.
So that's one of those things that you can use. Home routine. Home routine is very, very important. So my son, he's a night owl. So I let him have July to himself. He wants to stay up 12, 1 o'clock, do what he do, that's fine. August comes, now we're narrowing it down. So we're getting back in the routine, 9, 10 o'clock,
Right.
That kind of thing, so that he can get back into that mind frame of getting ready for school. So a home routine is very, very important. And lastly, knowing your resources. Teachers, we do know a lot of resources that can help parents, so sharing those resources, whether it be internet-based, whether it's in your community, whether it's church-based, whatever it is, utilizing those resources and sharing it with the parents. So it's very important.
Awesome. I'm going to turn to Brittany. For the sake of time, though, can you give me 2 tips?
Absolutely. My first one is stay organized. No matter what age your child is, they can stay organized, whether it's making sure there's not a million papers in their book bag, that they have a spot to work at home and it's cleared and they like it, and not being able to find your papers. Every child gets a planner. I tell my kids the homework every night, and so many times they go, I didn't know we had homework last night. I'm like, it's math. We have homework 5 nights a week. Write it down. So I think staying organized and controlling what you can have a good reaction for success. The other thing is having a reward. Doesn't have to be monetary. It's just if you work hard, and not for something, I'm organized, so I'm not going to reward myself for cleaning the house or organizing my bedroom. It's something that I'm uncomfortable with. But if I can work hard and achieve something that's out of my comfort zone, I'm going to reward myself. I'm going to go out to lunch with my friend. I'm going to get up with someone for drinks. And I think working and having that balance of hard work and positive reward can be a good thing.
Awesome. I want to turn to the community, and specifically in our community, the barbershop is sort of like the epicenter of the community.
hub.
That's the hub of, you
All
want to know about anything
information,
from
yes.
sports to chicken and waffles to whatever you want to talk about, you will find out at the barbershop. I'm an advocate for, obviously, school and community relations. How can the school connect better with the community as far as where you're from?
I think just being able to have that connection between the school systems and the barbershops or any other business that provides services for the public. I know that there's a disconnect there for us. Like we're trying to, I'm actually trying to get into the school systems and help more, give more, even when it comes down to kids that's don't have that home support where they need sneakers. It's a lot going on out in our communities that a lot of people are not aware of, where we have parents that's unemployed and fighting with addictions, and that goes along with learning disabilities. That if you stuff that goes on at your home, it's hard to come to school and be focused. But one thing that you have said about that letting your kids fall, and my mother My mother's a wonderful mother, and there's no playbook on how to be a great parent. However, I was enabled all my life. I was, don't fall, no, get up, no, I got you. And that didn't help me as far as my addiction went. Until she took her hands away and gave it to the man upstairs, I was able to fall flat on my face, and whatever came. But I was forced with a decision to make, and that's for me to ask for help. My mother loved me, but I needed some professional help on a higher level. So, enabling our kids, that's a fine line. It's a fine line. Like the love, and I see it all the time. Oh, you're my baby, oh my baby. I see it. So just that alone, I feel like enabling our kids or enabling anyone, adults, kids, it doesn't matter. It's a fine line. Just, be aware of it. Be aware of it.
Now, I have my daughter in the building, and she said she was not going to be on the radio, but I'm going to force her to be on the radio today. Simi, you're getting ready for school. Are you ready to go back to school? No? Why not?
Because I went to sleep in, and
You want to make slime all day?
Yeah.
And make slime all day. So what's our routine? When you come home from school, what do you do?
well, I get a snack and then do my homework. And sometimes I go to sleep.
Where do we always do our homework? Well, typically, it depends. You usually start it where? Where do you start your homework? Sometimes. After school? In the dining room. All right. So we're all sitting there doing our homework. And I brought that point up, too, because I'm getting my doctorate, and they see me sitting there with my computer out. They see me reading and modeling that behavior. I can't stress that more than enough. Parents, you need to model the behavior you want to see in your children. So if you want them to be, scholarly, you need to, better yourself. And you want them to have a routine, you need to have a routine as well. These kids are watching. Jay-Z said the streets are watching. The kids are watching, and they're watching your every single move. So I want to switch gears up because we got about 8 minutes left, and we didn't get to Mr. Petty yet. We definitely have to get to Mr. Petty. I want to know, were you always this way?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think that I'm any different today than I was, 15, 20 years ago or 30 years ago.
Where did your pettiness come from?
I'm the youngest.
Something had to happen.
I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest of four. Right? So it always went my way. So rather, if I wanted a special dinner, I got it because they were so tired that, listen, just give him whatever it is that he wants. So the whole world needs to fall in line and just give me what I want. If not, I'm going to have something to say.
Oh, I get it.
So when the whole world in your house starts to revolve around you, then you go in the community and you expect the same thing to happen. And then when you go to Atlanta, you expect the same thing to happen. When you go to Orlando, you expect the same thing to happen. And it's not right.
I can attest.
It's not right. So I can understand what Darcel said when we went down to Orlando and they ain't have my name. I threw a fit. What you mean you don't have my name? I paid you money so I could have my little name, and you don't have. You know what? I need my money back. Just give me my money back.
And as a result, we got free speaking engagements because of your pettiness. Definitely like that. Pete, are you petty?
Of course not.
That was a petty response.
Listen, his whole actions were petty.
Why would you say something like that? Of course not.
I also got my father in the building. Dad, you can come up here and get to the microphone because I need to ask you this very serious question. Are you petty? Because I've never asked you that question.
Can I look at him? Now, yes.
Now?
Yeah. I grew into it.
You grew into it?
Yeah.
You embraced your pettiness?
Yeah.
And what part of you think is petty?
I want what I want.
Why you look at Kareem when you said that?
I have to. That's Mr. Petty.
Well, Dad, I appreciate you being up here all the way from North Carolina. And, we've had our podcast, The Father and the Sons. You can check that on the empowermentperspective.com. Hit the the podcast button and go to the archives. I also wanted to, in the last couple of minutes, because it is the Empowerment Perspective podcast / radio show's birthday, coming up on August 14th. It was August 14th a year ago. It was our first broadcast, and I actually posted that out on social media. Did you think we would be at this point?
On the radio?
Yeah.
No. Not in less than a year.
That was interesting.
Because I think my vision was a little smaller than yours, and yours is just wide open.
And what was your vision?
I had to get through that first podcast. My face was bright red. I was a mess. And it was at your kitchen table. I mean, there was nobody there.
I made her blush. Ain't that something? Nah, but how has the journey been for you?
It's been very empowering. And I'm embracing my pettiness, and, we're all growing together, and I think it's been going in the right direction. I'm excited.
Mr. Petty, how do you think our journey has been since you got on the It's a Man's World podcast, and then, you've been rocking with us ever since?
No, I think that we have some really big things in store, so we're not done. So 2019 is going to be a really big year for us. We've already started working on the calendar. Stacy, calendar, please.
Yes.
Okay.
Not the one I bought, though?
No. We're going to use technology. Like Pete said, you got technology in your hands. We got to start using it. But I think that, we've been able to talk to a lot of people, been able to empower and inspire a lot of people. And more importantly, we've been, celebrating people in the community and giving them a platform to be able to speak out and speak up.
Right.
A lot of times, as educators, the only time we get a spotlight is when we get in trouble.
Yes.
Or when, we decide that we don't want to, take the pay cut and we go strike. But besides that, I mean, we need to be able to have the roses and be able to smell them while we are here.
Got you. I would definitely want to thank both of y'all for doing this journey. We are now in 32 different states in the United States we broadcast, so let's make some noise for that. That's a huge thing. Also, we're in 10 other countries outside of the United States with our radio show and podcast. So I know we're broadcasting out of, Little South Jersey, but when we put it out there, shout out to California, second biggest market. North Carolina is our second one. New Jersey, obviously, is number one, but we're in 32 states, man. I never ever thought that we would get to that point, and we're still growing, trying to expand our network and trying to get people on that's going to, empower other people. And that's what today was all about, getting parents ready and students ready for the upcoming school year. So I definitely thank all of you, and good luck your summer's winding up. So hit that beach one more time, go to the pool one more time. I think you're done traveling.
I'm cut off.
41 days, I think you're good. We can't let that out there. But shout out to Alder Ave Middle School. That's where I was doing my administrative duties. They had a goodbye party for me last night, and I wanted to thank all those people that were out there. I'm going back to Hamilton. We'll be an assistant principal at an elementary school out there, so I'm going back to some of my colleagues back there, and I just feel like that God has put me in this plant for a reason, and and I'm just following his path. Wherever he's taking me, wherever he's leading me, this group, this podcast, this radio show, it's in his hands. Wherever it goes is where it's going, and I just think that we have something very powerful to say to people.
Yeah, and before I forget, shout out to Jen Kurtz. Just know that we love you and we fighting with you. And as long as you continue to fight, we're going to fight alongside with you.
Absolutely. Our next engagement will be on the 18th. That's next Saturday. We have a speaking engagement down in Atlantic City, right?
Yeah, we're at Atlantic Cape Community College. We are down there where I want to call our cousin down there with Shalonda Austin and her program that she has down there. So we're going to go down there and talk to some students and be able to inspire them.
Don't forget our drive as well. Hit that one more time.
We're going to be collecting school supply items up until the 24th, so I can take them down to Pastor Robinson on the 25th, be handed out.
So any organizations out there, churches, schools, we do professional development. We have speaking engagements, motivational speaking, and all of that. Barbershop, one more time, give them that location and contact information.
We're having a book bag drive August 23rd through the 25th. The location is 5924 Main Street. The number is 609-837-0011.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. We are at theempowermentperspective.com. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, iTunes, all of that. We're everywhere. So keep following us and get those kids ready for school. And until the next time, stay empowered.